Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Dorothy Shallua, and it's another opportunity that we have to do a book review discussion on chapter 7, and the title is Relationships. I love all about relationships, and I'm surrounded with amazing women of God. On my right, I have
Jacinta Obado.
And on my left, I have
Veronica Onyango.
Thank you so much. We are going to dive in because when women are together, we talk about relationships. And we thank God because He is a God of relationship. And that is one thing which I would encourage everybody to have, a great relationship with the Lord Jesus. And I just want to kickstart right here because there are some relationships which give us defining moments. And one of the relationships that we see in the Bible is the relationship of David and Jonathan. Jonathan had a wonderful opportunity of having, actually David had a wonderful opportunity of having a friend like Jonathan who really helped him, even saved his life. So there are people who come into our lives that give us those defining moments. In this book, I've talked about it when I wrote about the business, how we were struggling in the beginning. When you read about in this chapter 7, I did a little bit about that, how we were struggling, but then God brought a person who helped us, and it was during that time when we increased our enrollment in the school, the business that we started, and things went very well. So the relationship play a very big role in our lives. And I don't want to say it all. I want to give an opportunity to these amazing women of God who are here with me, and we're just going to discuss, we're going to talk about it, and then we're going to highlight a few things that will help all of us. And I just want to start with you. You want to give a testimony about a defining moment that somebody, a person that brought to you. Would you like to give a testimony or just talk about it? What's your take in that?
Thank you, Doctor. Defining moments are very unique in our lives, and when you come across one, don't let it pass you. And I think I'd use a testimony here.
Okay.
When we arrived here, and by the time we were thinking of starting a business, there were things that had to be put in place for the business to start. And one was getting a local for us to register this company. There's this one parent that my husband was teaching his daughter.
Yes.
And the daughter became a doctor at Mimbili. So this man, because of that, my husband was tuitioning this daughter. Mm-hmm. Because of that, he just became a family friend and stuck close to us. And then we said, this is the time. Mm-hmm. You see? Mm-hmm. He stuck so close to us, and he was very helpful and coming for counseling, coming for advice. That was the time that we jumped into him and asked him that we want somebody to stand in with us and become a partner in the business that we want to start.
Yes.
You see? And if we missed that moment, we couldn't have gotten somebody until now. So when we approached him, he was more than willing to help us. And he came in, he said, right away, anything, I'll do it for you. So we started a business, he became our partner. We went on and went on with him until now we are together. So there are moments that you don't let them pass away if you want to move. Yes. And such relationships are not things that you want to do away with or just to let them go. Yes. You see how he came in? He came in as a parent, but the bond grew. And we saw how we can connect with him. We were helping him, and until now, I think we still help his children. Yeah, okay. Until now, but him is a partner in our business, and that's how we go in. Another one is a time came when we needed an office attendant. We needed one because I couldn't do everything.
Yes.
For the business to grow, I couldn't do anything. So when we went out looking for one, it came just in the same way, getting somebody to stand in at the right time with the qualification that you are looking for, to stand in as an office attendant, but also somebody who can run day-to-day office work.
Yes. Like an administrative assistant.
Yes, an administrative assistant.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say about that?
Thank you so much, Doctor. We just want to go back to how you started, when you brought in the story of David and Jonathan.
Yes.
And we see that David comes into a family
Yes.
where somehow there are people who do not want him, to be precise, Saul. But for Jonathan, he saw something unique that Saul could not see, and that is what he captured. He read a future in David and chose that I will cling to this person because there is something unique in him. So when it comes to relationships, there are many things I will want to look at that person before getting into it. Maybe honesty, trustworthy, somebody you can share your secrets with and you are sure that they are well kept. Yes. Because we see how Jonathan really stood for this man, David, and he could even warn him of danger. Yes. So when we enter into these relationships, we are sure that if that person who's now coming in to be my friend will sense a danger, they will not stay with it, but will forewarn me because they care about me. Because relationships is about care. Okay. And when we get into these particular relationships, it's about seeing how we give.
There is a sacrifice.
There's a sacrifice.
Relationships require sacrifice.
Yes.
There is a cost that we pay.
Yes.
In a relationship.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I like the way you just brought that in, and I want you to continue with that.
Yes. It is a sacrifice because you see, Jonathan is in a higher position. He is the child of the king.
Yes.
And so he could choose to bulldoze. But he has seen something unique in David. And so he chooses to come down to fit into David's shoes. And if you read deeper, he gives out. He gives out his robe. He gives out his weapons. Why? Because he wants them to connect.
Yes.
And he gives him time also, because relationships cannot be created without time. If I want to have a cup of tea with my sister at the center, it means we are going to spend. It's all about spending. We are going to also have time there and talk. There is cost, there is time, there is love, there is pouring. So there is much to relationship, more than what you're going to get from the person, other than what will I also give out. Yes.
See, sometimes we want to go into a relationship and our mindset sometimes is like, what am I getting out of it? So what you are telling us is, as we are getting into knowing people, that mindset is, what am I getting out of it, can limit us in the kind of friends that we attract, or the kind of relationships that we want to build, because that is a wrong kind of a mindset.
Yes.
Because one of the things that we need always to consider is, are you ready for this relationship?
Yes.
What kind of sacrifice are you going to give? If you want to have a rich relationship, you have to be willing, like the way you said it, that it takes time, it takes commitment, it takes you giving yourselves into it, and it can be very emotional as well.
That's true.
Because sometimes in relationship you go through different things. You can have different opinions, and are you willing, when you have different opinions, to give into that? So I like what you say, that it does have a cost. There is a cost when you go into a relationship. But I also want us also to discuss the kind of relationship. Is it that you should always have one type of a friends? just because you are coming from a background. I like the way David was willing to be a friend to the son of a king.
The king.
But sometimes we limit ourselves. And because you're a businesswoman, all you want to have in your circle of friends is all business women. Or because you are a student, all you want into your circle of friends is all students. But I want us to talk about or just expand ourselves or limit that ceiling and that limitation when we look at the way we go into relationships. Is it necessary to relate only with certain types of friends? And what are the benefits when you diversify the circle of your friends? I would start with you. Coming out of the book, diversify the friends. I also wrote that in this book.
Thank you, Doctor. You see, where we began, when you are entering into a relationship, it's not only what you're going to get,
Yes.
but also what you're going to give. Sometimes it requires sacrifice. When you enter into a relationship with somebody, look at what you are going to give into this relationship.
Yes.
What are you going to improve in this person? So as you get into that way, then this relationship will grow better. You know, you can get into a relationship with a young mother, for example. In my case, a young mother, I get into friendship with her in the relationship way, to not actually like going to point at her mistakes, no, but wanting her to walk in the right way, but in a relationship level. So as we're relating and becoming friends, there's a thing she will pour in my life, as young
That's
as
true.
she is,
That's true.
to
Yes.
revive me and make me a
Yes.
better person. But in the same way, I will impart wisdom to her
Yes.
in the relationship. So it's not only, don't go into a relationship minding what you're going to get. That is wrong. I even use like marriage, especially for the young ladies now who are in courtship. Don't look for a partner because of what you want to get from them.
Yes.
That is wrong. Go into that relationship with what you're going to bring in.
And that does not mean that finances.
Yes.
It is not just finances. You can just bring in something unique,
Yes.
something dynamic to complement this relationship.
Yes.
Because sometimes when we talk about what you will give out, somebody will refrain and say, maybe I don't have money. But I don't think it's about money.
Yes.
There are some unique giftings that you have, that when you bring into this relationship, the other person will appreciate.
I can give an example. When I was approached by my husband then, he was a graduate and a university person, and I'm a diploma person, you see?
Yes.
You see that? So I had to look for what am I giving into this relationship. I didn't know just to go and get married to him. And that's why it took a long time. I asked myself, coming here, what am I bringing? That was my first question to myself.
Yes.
What am I bringing into this relationship? When I saw what I was going to give in the relationship, that's when I put my foot there. But it took my time. How can I get married to this person? You see, he was also born again and on fire by that time. You see, these fiery people. I was not that type. I was born again, yes. But then I would say, now what value am I going to add into this?
Yes.
You have to look at that. Not necessarily that what am I going to get.
Yes.
When you go like that, you become selfish. And such relationships don't last.
Yes.
I like the way you are bringing this point, because that's the limitation sometimes we find ourselves into for those who are not married. And I will throw this to you as well. Those who are not married, because they want to look at a person first of all to see how much money do they make, what kind of a car do they have, what am I going to get out of this relationship? Do they have a car? Do they have a house? Do they have this? So they are looking more of the material things. And that's how sometimes those who are not married the mindset is, what am I going to get out of it if I get married to this person? But I want us also to see the flip side of this. How can we approach when somebody comes, you are not married, you are a lady, and somebody comes who completely doesn't have anything? How can you look into this?
Thank you so much.
Advise that one person who is struggling. Who's like, hey, I've been, somebody has approached me, but guess what? They have nothing. What would be your take on that?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. And you see, this discussion is getting more interesting. You know, when it comes to relationships, these things are so deep and so, they are not like 1 + 1 is equal to 2. You cannot like define it. You cannot like say because he's driving the car, he's going to drive forever. Or because he doesn't have, he's just going to remain poor forever. No. You know, as a person comes, there is something unique you're able to see in that person. For example, I'll use myself as an example. Just this week, we had a discussion in church, and a few couples came in, and one of them said, when I was approaching my wife, we didn't have anything. In fact, I wasn't employed. By that time, my wife was working. But I believed in myself. I was voicing out myself in a way that I could convince her. And when this man, let me assume that it's a man approaching a lady, and he's coming to you, and you read the leadership skills in him. He might not have anything, but the way he's expressing himself and the way he's carrying out himself, it is enough to tell you that even if he doesn't have, I can trust in this person. He seems to have a vision. Even if he doesn't have that flow, I can work with this vision. And with the finance I have, I use the unique gifting in him. And we pull up and make out something great. And I wanted to a little bit go back to the question you had also earlier asked. There is just something that came into me about having a friendship. You know, you can be a business person, you can be rich, but you need somebody who is not of your status or your caliber. One time, one of our teachers was giving an example. He is rich, yes, but the neighborhood that is surrounding him is surrounded with this kind of, we can say that they are thuggish, but he chooses to make friendship with them. So whenever he passes there, they tell him, today, don't pass that road. Why? Because anytime he meets them, he can give them something. He tells them, please take coffee and everything. So they make friendship, because out of that, they can deliver you from some dangers. When I was pregnant, I was new in this land. I had to connect with the women who knew how to enter here and come out from that place. They might not have been educated like me, but they just were very vital during that time. So we need each other, just the way the word of God says, the eye needs the leg. And as much as the leg is big, it needs the finger. That's how we connect.
Wow, that is very true. Diversify the circle of your friends. There are some people you need to be able to pray with. Because you're not going to have everybody who likes to pray or is able to pray for you. Diversify the level of the circle of your friends. You need people to pray with, and you need somebody, that person who can look at you and say, hey, Dr. Dorothy, what you're doing is not right. Today, this did not go well. You definitely need a friend in your circle who will tell you the way it is. Not a yes person, not the person who will always say, hey, you have done it well. Yes, just giving you positive comments. How do we feel about that? How do we feel about that person who comes to us? Sometimes, sometimes you feel like, this person, no. But you have faced those challenges. It's very challenging to have that person who really loves you, but at the same time, who tells you the way it is, who tells you the truth, who tells you when you do something wrong, who tells you, look here, if you go this way, you're gonna fall.
Yes.
How do we react sometimes? Or do you have somebody like that?
And actually, thank you, doctor. It can come from your nanny. That nanny that you have at home, it can come from them.
A person who helps you at home.
At home.
Yes.
Like, I can give an example. When I was raising my children, I had an older woman in the house. Yeah, she was older. By then she was 50s. Yeah,
Okay.
Mama Shaban, you know her,
yes.
Vero. She was older than me. So in the way I was bringing up my children, there are some stupid things I was doing. Then she could watch. Like one was I was overgrinding food for the children. Yeah?
Okay.
To feed them quickly and to make them eat. So she could come like, can I use Kiswahili here? She could come like, mama wewe unafikiria huyu hata pana nafasi ya kula, unamsajili chakula mpaka siku gani?
Yes.
Wacha hali ngumu kidogo. So she comes in that way, and but she's
Let me translate that. So what she's saying is, this woman will tell her, you are overgrinding the food. Don't overgrinding. The child needs to learn to eat hard food, to chew hard food.
You see, she's coming like that to you. It's a help at that right time. But if you don't take correction, if you don't want to take positive criticism, you will say, who is she?
Yes.
These are my children. I am bringing them up the way I know. After all, she's not learning. But that is truth.
Yes.
This child has to know how to chew. Sometimes she would come and tell me, why are you putting pamper? The child, I can clean. I can clean the mess. Why are you putting? You know, she's bringing something which is a positive action on the child, which if you take positively, you're bringing up your child well. But since it's coming from a nanny and you don't want to be corrected, you will rubbish them off, you see?
Yes.
It can come from your children.
Yes.
Yeah, it can come from your children sometimes. Or the way you are even disciplining them or correcting them. They can tell you, mommy, why, when I make a mistake, why can't you just tell me, you know, in the right way? We African women go hard on them. Who are you to speak to me? No. Yeah, they just
I'm
told
the
you.
mother. I'm the
They
mother.
just told you the way. So you come back to your sense and know on how to handle them and go with them well. Because after all, you're going to be with them until that time when they're leaving. So if you don't put this relationship good,
Yes.
it is going to be sour and sour as you go.
Yes. As they are growing up.
As they're growing.
That's
and you're losing your children
Yes.
along the way.
That's
so
true.
relationship is vital. It's very important if you want to go forward.
Yes. What's your take on this?
In fact, I wanted to pick it immediately from her, and I learned something as she was sharing. So there is this aspect of listening.
Yes.
It means if I don't have a listening ear, I'm not going to take in criticism or any correction that is coming. If I have this notion that I am the know-it-all, you know, there is this like, I know it all. And what I was getting from you is that it's not about education most of the time. There is a time it's just a concept that does not need the books like the one the nanny was bringing in. Just to lengthen it a bit, that time is that when we want to take in criticism, the listening ear is a key. Because when somebody wants to start telling me something that I am not ready to take in, I'm likely to start attacking that person. But if I just kept silent and allow that information to digest, and I keep on working on it, I will realize that this was the right information. In fact, the Word of God says, no correction seems pleasant at that moment. But those who are trained by it, they come out perfect.
Yes.
And it is very true that if I allow somebody to correct me, that person is pruning me so that I can be able to receive more sunlight and bring out more production. Yes.
Also something to note here, Daktari. When you learn to listen and take in correction, you become better and better.
Yes.
And you see, there are some people who come to correct with the wrong motives, just to hurt you. But if you are a good listener, you know the person who is genuinely correcting you, and you know the person who is coming just wanting to put you down or to shame you at that moment in the form of correction. So it's good to be a good listener, and if you find this person just wants to put me down, also you should know how to stand for yourself at that moment.
That's true. That
doesn't mean you just take in
Yes,
anything
yes,
in a
yes.
form of correction. Some are just people who just like putting people down, coming to correct you in a public place.
Yes.
You know, you should also be we're told to correct in love.
Yes.
For example, you've made a mistake. You are a pastor. Then I want to correct you in public. Don't take that. You don't take that in the form of correction. And also like you are fearing to spoil the relationship.
Yeah.
You know? But if you are a good listener, you will know how to differentiate
Yes.
the two. You know this is done in love, but this is done with a wrong motive.
Yes. So it also applies even in, like, you are in a business and you are, whatever level you are, it's always good to relate with all kind of people. Let's say you are a business lady and you have your own business. Just because you are the owner, it doesn't mean that you should not relate to those people who are working for you. Actually, they will tell you a lot of their secrets, the secret to success, what to do, what not to do, or what customers are saying about either your service or either your products. I've seen this and I like it. In the healthcare industry, it's always good to get feedback. What do people say about the services you are giving? And you just can't get it from anybody. You have to get it either from those employees who are in the field working, because they are the ones who are going to hear and who are going to give you that feedback. So it's very, very important to be willing to relate with people of all types, so that you can have the right feedback also, either in a business level or if you are also in the ministry, because you always need some kind of feedback. And we are all involved in the ministry. And we also see that sometimes you would have a mindset of doing something which for sure is not working. But if you get the right feedback, then you are able to direct, you are able to correct it and say, okay, so it should be done this way. So relationships add a lot of value in what we do in everyday lives. Now, I just want to hit on this a little bit, because sometimes we would overload ourselves with friends, with all kinds of relationships, and we do not take time to review. We don't take time to say, I think at this particular season, this kind of a friendship, I need to deactivate. Because I believe there's sometimes, or there's a season that you need to review the list of friends. You need to review the list of relationship, your collaborations. If you are in business, if you are in ministry, the list of collaborations that you have. Now, what would be your take on this? Is it necessary, or how do you take it? Do you ever take time to review? And do you ever take time to say, this kind of relationship, I'm putting it to rest in this season?
Thank you, Doctor. It is true, you cannot have everybody because of relationship. There's a time you should sit down and know this one is working for me now. This one, let me put it aside. Not discard, put it aside. And I want to use an example of Paul, Barnabas, and Mark in the Bible. They had gone for a missionary work, but this time when Paul was preaching to the Gentiles, it's like Mark was not agreeing with that. When they had finished and they were moving to the next place, you know what Paul said? Let Mark go away because we don't need him at this moment. I don't think he was like putting bridges on the relationship. No, he just didn't need him that time because of that reason. Because if you read ahead, the time Paul is still calling out for Mark.
Yes.
Call Mark. We need him now. That's why it's very important to sit, review, and see the relationships that you are having. Are they important with the place where you are in your life? If it's business, is everybody around you important at that time? Because when there are too many, you can't give the best. You know, you can't give the best, you can't perform the best. Some are just a baggage at that time. Not that they are bad, no, but they're not appropriate at the moment. So it is good to sit down, see, do I need this now? If you don't need it, peacefully put it aside. Go with the ones that you are doing well. Either you are putting something into their life or they are adding something mutual, and it's making you go forward.
That's true.
I think that's vital to do if you want to have healthy relationships.
Yes. Healthy relationships can be also seasonal.
Yes.
What will be your take on that?
Yeah, thank you so much, Pastor. They can be actually seasonal because, for example, if I move from one location to another, there are some friends who were so key to my life. But just for the fact that I've already moved to another location, there's a probability that we will not keep in touch. And it means I'll start again looking for another friendship that is going to work for me at that time. For example, I will also just say that even relationships, they have faces. I know of maybe churches where they will say, let young girls have their own group because they have things they want to discuss. Then we will have younger mothers. Then we will have older mothers because there is something they share in common. So I will not pull everybody. Now that I am a bigger mother, for instance, I do not need to baggage myself with a lot of those young girls. I just pick a few of whom I can relate with and I can share something with them because I am moving towards something. I think there is that, is it called a sigmoid curve? At some point, you will only be associating with old people. You're talking a similar language.
Well, talking about a tribe, we have to learn how to build health relationships. They do help us a lot. It's an area of ministry, an area that we give, the area we complement each other. This is such a huge topic for those who want to do great things. We say this, sometimes you cannot do great things by yourself. You need to collaborate with other people. So I encourage, if you are in a business or maybe you are in a ministry, if you want to do something which you can't do it because of the limitations, look how relationships are going to help you to remove that limitation and do things in a bigger way. Bring in a relationship that can help you. I've seen this happening a lot. I've seen how non-profit organizations have to partner with businesses in order to reach a greater community or more people. So relationships are always beneficial in our lives. They are seasonal. Remember, they are seasonal. And don't feel bad if you go back to the phone. I always like to talk about this. Dr. Shallua always goes back to his phone and then he would review it and say, at this time, this person, at this time, I mean, literally, he is very intentional on how he reviews the list of a relationship, and I always laugh about it. But when in this season, I understand. I understand it's important to review the list of your relationships. So we are coming to an end.
Before we finish, there's a picture that has just come in my mind. I'm looking at a producer who is producing something.
Okay.
Is a producer producing something. he can't produce, he can't market, he can't sell if he doesn't have relationships.
That's true.
Well, for his goods to reach the market, he has to know how to relate with the marketer. He has to know how to relate with the distributors, with the wholesalers, with the retailers very well.
True.
You know, it's
That's
a
true.
relationship.
It's a chain.
Yes. It's a chain, yeah.
Yes.
But that relationship has to work very well,
Very well.
for him, for his goods to reach
The
the
lowest.
consumers.
That's true.
Oh, wow.
If he doesn't look at it keenly, he can produce and have everything and not have room
Yes.
to
Yeah,
keep them.
that's
But
true.
if this relationship is organized well and working well, the production will reach the intended consumer. That's
Wow.
what I've just seen.
Wow, that's
Wow.
powerful. I love that. And
Yes.
that description, just you are tying everything together. What is your last take on this?
I will just say that relationships are key. Why? Because human beings are social. You cannot just be yourself. You need somebody. And so we sometimes they can be hurtful, but then we keep picking ourselves and exploring.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, wow. I like that. And I want to end with that. Relationships help us to learn how to forgive, right?
Yes.
There's no way you can have friends, you can have people you are relating with without knowing forgiveness.
Yes.
So I want to end with that note, and this has been very helpful. And we've been talking about Unleash the Extraordinary You, and we are doing chapter 7. And if you don't have the book, we still have copies. If you are in Tanzania at CCC Upanga, if you are not, you are in the United States or maybe in England or anywhere else, you can get it from Amazon.com. And I just want to thank you so much. There's so much to talk about, but we could only talk about those few things. And I also want to thank these wonderful ladies, amazing. Again, I'm Dr. Dorothy Shallua, and I'm here with
Jacinta Obadu.
Thank you.
Veronica Onyango.
Thank you so much. Until we meet again. Thank you.